Hi.
I did not mean to pause the song before it was over. I
But
got
it
excited.
we needed that last bit. We needed that last bit. Hi. Are we having a good day? Yeah.
We're having a day.
When are we? Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Is That an Owlbear? A D&D podcast. I am DM Joe.
And I am Cristina. What up?
Yeah, and we are your hosts today, and well, honestly, pretty much
This
every
is
other
our
day that you listen
show.
to us. Our
So
show,
it's always us.
yes, unless we bring someone to come shoot the shit some other time.
That could
Um,
happen. We haven't talked
that
about
could.
it, but
We
hey,
haven't. Why couldn't we? We could
we
interview
can.
very famous people, or we can also interview our friends.
that too. That's valid. That is valid.
Sorry, mostly probably going to be the second one, but yeah,
Yeah,
we
let's
you
be
never
real.
know. Yeah. Anyway, how's your week going?
My week has been very interesting. Yeah, no, it's been a thing. Let's focus on the good. And I have
Yes,
been I have been working really hard to make sure that we have an online presence, because guess what? Our socials are live.
our socials are super live. They're the livest they're ever gonna be. They're because they're online. That
Seriously,
was a
because
bad
I'm
joke.
not quite sure how much I can keep up with like the daily posting. So he's not wrong.
You guys have to understand that I am socially media adverse, and Christina is, at best, she uses it for
I
herself.
use it. I enjoy the doom scrolling, but
Yes,
I don't. I have this thing, the the well, it's I don't want to talk about it. I don't like to be told what to do. So when I have responsibilities, I say no and I run on the opposite direction.
correct.
So
And
that's why I don't
I
have
don't
children.
like social media, and well, I don't say that I don't like it. I don't honestly have time for it
That's
currently
fair.
because of my job and everything else. So when I do have a little second, I'll get on Twitter and I'll just be on
Doom
Twitter.
scroll. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's like,
like legit.
how's the world ending this week? Oh, war, famine, pestilence. What's going on?
I'll say it is not therapy, but it's something.
The opposite of that.
In
Um,
any case.
much like D&D. That's a segue.
Oh,
Like,
look at us.
it's not therapy, much like D&D, but that's a story for another podcast, for another episode, because we're not talking about that today. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about Tolkien and his influence on D&D, what he originally did, how it influenced what we started playing way back before a lot of you listeners were born, and why there's some people who have hard time adapting, and why some people like me have first resisted and then realized you're wrong.
Oh.
By me being wrong, I didn't want to change the way things were doing, and then I realized, oh, well, that's dumb. But I'm gonna so I realized I was dumb and I changed. But I'll go into it a little bit in first of all, if I ask you, Christina, like, tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about elves, dwarves, races, magic. What do you know as, I know you've watched the movies. I think you've read the books.
No,
Not
that's a
sure.
lie.
No,
I
I
got
know you
stuck
watched
at
the movies.
Bilbo's birthday on the
Everyone, a
Fellowship of
lot of
the
people,
Ring. I
a
just
lot of,
I
that's like episode,
couldn't.
that's like
I
chapter one.
just it is chapter 1. It's like
Well,
page 70 something. I fucking couldn't.
look, I understand. Look, I can't say I'm the biggest Tolkien fan, nerd that there is. I
Mm,
appreciate Tolkien for what he did. His words are very wordy. His books are
his
very,
read his read is very dense. I am a
yes.
person who gets very easily distracted. Joe has made fun of me, like, you dangle a shiny and I'm like, oh my god. Do I have ADHD? Probably. Do I have autism? There's a chance. We haven't figured it out yet. We just put it on a shelf and ignore it. So the truth is, I need to be stimulated. And as much as Tolkien paints beautiful pictures with his words, I, honey, I I'm a cozy gamer, you know. I do not need this amount of world building just in the first chapter. It's a lot. It's a lot. And that's exactly why I have not finished the fourth book of A Song of Ice and Fire, because the first one took me a year. So
I mean,
just,
I stopped reading Tolkien the first time when they I think they crossed the river and they were talking to me about like the father or uncle of the mayor of the town, and how I was like, there was like, it was like 2 pages of this, and I remember stopping to read, like stopping and being like, this character either better show up and save the world, or something never mentioned again.
no, no, please. No.
So I I I like it. I like Tolkien. I like what he did. It took me a really long time to finish the books. Because I think I
Well,
also
you
get
did
easily
finish them.
distracted. I did eventually after like a
Okay.
long time, and in my adulthood, I started reading them when I was a teenager, and it took me.
I tried. It's my
It's
mom's favorite series, and I'm like, what?
why
I don't get it.
watch half people who are
And
listening to
I
this.
just want to say real quick, because it's a huge fandom that I have humongous respect for. Like, I don't get me wrong, I have watched uh all of, all of the Lord of the Rings movies, all of the Hobbit movies. I really enjoyed the Rings of Power. I am looking forward to the new movies. Like, I am into it. I am in, really there. But and I really enjoy world building, otherwise I wouldn't enjoy tabletop games.
Mhm.
However, I really need to be quickly engaged
Yeah,
in order for me to remain engaged.
yeah,
I am not an academic. And if you shove a fantasy book
we
in my
know.
face where I am reading a freaking dissertation, I'm just going to reject it. My body rejects it. And I am very much into the whole read the books before you watch a movie kind of girl. I do love that. But when it comes to Tolkien, I'm good. I'm really
Yeah,
good.
we don't want to piss anyone off with our very
No, we
like.
really don't. We really
I
don't.
don't.
Like, so much
I
respect.
also don't think that they're unpopular opinions. They're just, I don't think they're voiced opinions. You have to have a certain degree of like attention and love of reading all types of writing to really find your flow with Tolkien, because the story is
Yes.
beautiful. The story
This
is
story
a
is gorgeous.
great story. It's
Truly.
just the
Both
same, my
Joe and I
same
have issues
critiques.
with reading.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Like,
I'm
it's a known
dyslexic.
thing.
It's hard.
It
It took
really
me
is.
it took me 2 years to read book 5 of Song of Ice and Fire,
I haven't gotten
and
that
I
far.
have been trying to read A Wheel of Time since I was a teenager. And if I have to read another description of a brooch, I am
A
going to
brooch.
set something on fire. I don't put that away. Why are you triggering me?
Because I
If
can.
I have to read another description of a brooch, if I have to read another instance where a woman folds her arms under her breast because she's mad, or if she tugs on her braids, I will literally set something. Anyway, we're we're off track. Reading is fun. Reading is what fundamental.
Yeah.
So wow. So I'm gonna go back to my.
It's in the book, The Reading Rainbow.
Ooh, so tell me, if I were to ask you, describe elves, dwarves, and humans in Lord of the Rings, what would you say? It would be a easy, fast description for them.
Oh no, I don't understand what easy mean.
Hmm.
Well, okay, all right.
Hmm.
Christina is gonna Christina is gonna put her feelings about just overall tropes
Hmm.
aside,
Yeah.
because we're not gonna do that right
No, we're
now.
not.
Even though we have feelings about it, very strong ones, and
Yes.
yep. But elves are tall, slender, beautiful beings
Hmm.
with bright, light skin, bright eyes, pointy ears, long hair, long locks of hair, just very esbeltos, very just
Slender.
slender people. We Spanglish here, okay?
Yeah.
Very slender, beautiful, gorgeous people. Dwarves are short beings, not as short as hobbits, but I'm sorry, excuse me. Short beings, hairy people, because because both yeah, hairy. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna stick with that.
That's
Hairy
fine.
friends, very into rocks. Like they really they really like it.
Okay.
um you know,
They like
um
rock and rock
it's
music.
like their religion or whatever, but please
That's
don't hate
Dragon
me.
Age.
But also no, also like
I
in the Lord of the Rings, the
yes,
stone
yes,
speaks to
yes.
the
That's
see,
supposed to be.
but also I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
lore. Anyways, they really like that. What else? You just asked me for dwarves and elves, right?
And humans, if you wanted
And
to add there.
humans are treacherous. Ooh, yes. Just very easily corruptible, treacherous
So basically how we are.
beings. Yeah.
And the reason I asked that is because there's a discourse going on with
Ooh.
older D&D players, just general like that's the way it is and the way it should be. We don't
Oh,
need, and I'm not. I want to quickly address.
tradition, tradition.
Yeah, I want to quickly address this immediately. If you think elves and dwarves are just white, we are not the podcast for you.
Thank you.
Period.
Thank you.
This
Please
isn't
leave.
really a debate. This isn't a debate at all. So we're just gonna put that there because I want to address more the nuances that Cristina
Mhm.
mentioned of the speaking to the
Tropes.
stone or the tropes
Oh,
or
sorry.
the elves are always magical and skipping and blah blah blah. And the reason is when I started playing D&D, that was literally what was described in the
Mm-hmm.
races.
Oh,
Like that. And for a while, I was always like, oh, this, like, all my elf cities are in the
it is
forest and they're
known.
so mystical.
Uh-huh.
And don't get me wrong, there should be elf cities that are mystical in the forests, the
Mm-hmm.
same way there should be elf cities outside of the forest that aren't mythical, right? Because they're people. There's all sorts
Right.
of people.
They're a group of peoples.
Yes, and they will diverge, they will move out. And I kind of like how in Dungeons and Dragons 5e you have your wood elves, which fit a little bit more on that trope of
Right.
nature. They're not all like hippies and stoners. They could be, whatever, you're a DM. Do that if you want it to be. But they're very nature inclined and they're very like the forest. But then you also have your high elves, which fall into that like superior elf nose up, I'm a fucking asshole type of race. And I appreciate the difference. And then you have your drow elves and your sea elves and your probably
We
put a word.
diversified.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
extended
We
ourselves.
extended
All
and
right.
we allow ourselves to experience these different things. And here's a big thing about me is I remember being 15 and being like, yeah, because the elves are this, blah, 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 blah. And then I found the kenkus. I don't know if I told this story before, but the kenkus are like half humanoid birds without wings because some ancient race clipped them, and then they're like angry and they're treacherous and lawful. They're chaotic evil and they will stab you and
Whoa.
But I remember thinking, what a cool thing is to play a humanoid bird person without wings, like that not the rest, that.
Just
So I
that
let my
concept.
players, yes, I let my players play that, and it was very fun. so I've always stirred a little bit away from the path, and then I found Dragon Age, where you had basically elves who lived in slums, and for me
Mhm.
personally, my mind blew up. I was
I
like,
remember when you were trying to sell me the concept of Dragon Age,
yeah,
and I was like, wait, so what's up with the elves? And you're like, oh, no, no. The elves are like pariahs here. I was like, wait, what?
just flipping it on its head. Like he basically, Gator and his team took elves and were like, what if we did this? Like, let's just flip it. It's the opposite. My light is just wants
I
to
see
shine
it.
me.
I see
It
it.
makes me want to be whiter than I am. I'm sorry. If you're watching me, I'm
please,
sorry.
please no.
Um,
But that's really interesting what you said, because I watched a TikTok like 2 days ago by Elise Meyer. We love her, we adore her. If you don't follow her, she has like over 1 million followers at this point, but do yourself a favor and go follow her. It's just wholesome content. And she shared that when she was in school, she had this art teacher that made her and the class draw a ballerina, and when they were done with that ballerina, they started drawing in sections and then just flipped the whole thing over and drew the ballerina upside down. And she didn't understand why she was doing this, and the teacher explained that we are so used to seeing things in a certain construct that our brains are wired to immediately fill in the blanks of what we already know and how we already know it. But if you literally flip the thing in on itself and you try to address it upside down, it's a whole new perspective and a
yeah,
whole new, just a whole new plethora of things to discover
yeah.
from an upside down perspective. And I
It's
thought that
not.
that was
It's
freaking beautiful.
that is beautiful. It's. I'm not saying don't play the trophy elf. If you want to play the trophy elf, play the trophy elf, because sometimes it's fine. You just want to play traditional slender elves with magic. Fine, like it's fine. But also, hey, how about you challenge yourself? Like, how about I am this creator, her name is Jeannie D. I'm sure if you're listening to us, you probably heard of her. She has a character that when I read about it, I remember I was just like minding my own business, and she mentioned her gnome barbarian. Just that
Ooh,
idea. I was like, and then I was like, yes, give me more. And she's like a farmer, and she got permission from her DM to like, her main weapon is like not a pitchfork, but like a farming utensil. I don't remember which one she said. And she like equated that damage to like her stick or her sword or whatever it was she
I
did.
love this.
It's the best thing ever. It's just
Is
like,
it like a scythe?
maybe it's a size. Maybe it's a size. I think it's the farm the
A rake?
I, rake. I think it's a rake. I think she has a rake
Okay.
as her main weapon, which I think is
That's fucking amazing.
I
I
think it's like
love
the
that.
best thing ever. But that's why I wanted to talk. It's not that we're talking about Tolkien, but we're talking about like challenging the stereotypes of what you think characters should be. And it's also like, if I were to immediately just quickly, if I ask you, can dwarves do magic? Your answer is
Can dwarves do magic?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Your answer is yes, but originally they couldn't.
Oh.
So like
What
me,
are they supposed to be magic stunted because they're underground or some shit?
yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry, excuse me, but the closer to the core, to the center of the earth that you fucking are, the more grounded to the vibrations of the fucking stone and the soil and the earth you are. Okay, bitches, I'm gonna go all hippie on your asses. They are the most connected. They're the most connected. I'm gonna flip this fucking table.
They're
I'm so
short,
mad
like
now.
that is all super valid. Like, and you're
I'm
right.
so
But I
mad.
remember me, um, in all my games, I don't think I've ever played. Not now. Well, now I haven't, because I just haven't made the character. But
Right.
up until, because I was playing other things, and like at no point did I ever play in a campaign where I made a dwarf a magic user, because I was like, no. And I remember talking to a friend who's also my age, and she's also played on and off her entire life and whatever. And I was like, hey, can dwarves do magic? And she was like, no. And I was like, what if I tell you that they can? and it's not a problem. And I just for me, a magical dwarf is as great as a concept. And I know that that's old and it's trite, and people who are much younger than me will hear this and be like, "Wow, this guy is so outdated." But listen, I want to play it. Like I want to include that. I want that in my world, because I think it's great. I want. Here's an like I was here current players for the West Punchers, stop listening for the next minute or maybe listen. So a new character came in and I gave him an NPC because it was his first time playing, and he's playing
All
a
right.
Kenku, and I was like, I'm gonna give him a little like Kenku sidekick cleric that's also gonna join the guild. And I didn't really flesh her out because I was like, I don't know if they're gonna take her or allow her in the guild, whatever. And they did, and they took her and whatever. And she was a cleric, but she heals with like dark magic.
Oh, I like
Um,
this. Yes.
like her magic, her divine magic is dark. Like her, instead of like I'm healing hands with blood, it's like that's the noise. And I described it the first time, and one of my players was like, "Why am I getting healed with like necrotic magic?" And I was like, "It's not necrotic. It's just her divine magic is dark. Get over it." And the premise of her character
But I
is that she
love that.
prays. I do too. And her premise is that she prays to the gods of the world that died, because
Okay.
this
Uh-huh.
in this story, just very quickly, they came from a world that died to this new world that they're exploring. So that's the premise. So she still plays to her old pantheon with her dead gods. So her healing magic is like the remembrance of the old divine energy. It's like what remains, and that's
Okay.
why it's darker. And
That's
she has.
really cool.
I honestly I
It's more
improvised that on the.
primitive,
Yeah, it's not. I don't know, primitive. I think it's more.
but
This
not
is
primitive
the
as in we don't
vestigios. Vestigios in
vestiges.
English. It's the vestiges of their magic. It's what remains,
I
and
I
that's what she
appreciate
has.
this.
And I improvised that on the spot
Okay.
because I hadn't really fleshed her out, and then they kept asking her because they really liked her because she was very like she was a fun character to play. And now she joined the guild and she has this backstory that I think is chef's kiss that I'm very proud of. And now I think she's going to become one of your main NPC players. And it's just that
Oh, I
it's
like that.
flip it, like take whatever idea and flip it on its head. Be different. Play a smart barbarian. Play, I don't know, whatever. Just think of something that is not normal and give yourself a chance to play. I have a player is playing on a high elf that ran away from society and joined the circus. And I love it too. It's like a very different
Yay!
little twist on what it is. So it's to break free of the bounds of what you think traditional fantasy brings and create your own fantasy. I think is very important.
I think so too. And like on the like back I really appreciate knowing full well that I am a fan of the subject and yet I don't know enough about it, right?
Mhm.
I have been I'm on TikTok all the freaking time. Like find me on TikTok if you want. I might not post a lot, but my doom scrolls are legendary. So, but, but I have had the opportunity to see a lot of really interesting storytellers, a lot of really interesting DMs that have been sharing what they are choosing to do in their campaigns just to flip the script a little bit. I've also realized and noticed that most of these DMs tend to be members of the queer community, which we love
Work.
to see. Snaps, fuck yes.
And
So
I have to pause you there and say I wonder if you and I are seeing the same DMs because we're on the same like side of TikTok.
probably.
That's queer
I also
TikTok
send
because
you a lot
I'm
of those.
yeah, and so I'm seeing a bunch of queer content creators and I'm like, bring it.
Fuck
Because
yes.
it's also like part of my next question that I was going to ask you is sexuality
Yeah.
in role-playing games. Is it fine? Is it woke? Is it what is it? And the answer is
Mm.
it's human. At least my answer. I'm
It's
going to give it before you.
human.
It's human. It's not a story. It's not a story point. But
No,
we've
it
talked
doesn't
about
have
that before. But
it doesn't have to be.
it's it. People are gay. Steve, Chad, whoever you are.
Damn it, Steve, Chad.
Chad,
Chad,
Steve.
Steve.
That's Shadius Steve. Steven Shad. Steven Shadius.
Um,
So
listen,
it's
if people choose to not play with sexual undertones, I understand that.
Mhm.
Understand and respect that, especially because a lot of a lot of players find D&D during earlier years.
Yes.
So, but let's be fucking real. Teenagers be fucking or wanting to. All right, do not come at me. That's just facts. If you're playing D&D
Everyone
though,
was a teenager.
it depends. Exactly.
Honestly, people are like,
No, people.
if
I take that back.
people
I
are
take that
horny,
back.
people are horny. Like
People are
it's
horny.
perfectly fine. It's
People are
I don't
super horny. Like
as you were talking about the queer, like bunch of queer horny heroes save the world on a constant D&D basis.
all the time.
and and I
All the time.
stand
Yes.
and I stand. I
Yes.
currently I have currently I'm the queer player in my game. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is straight, so there are no queer characters besides the ones that I've included. Some people are playing bisexual characters, but it's not really focused on romance. It's something that happens, but it's not like the main
Right, right, right,
focus.
right, right.
And that's what you're saying. Like you can have a game without big sexual or romance plots. But personally, me yesterday, two PCs kissed. Long time coming storyline. Really proud of them. So I just, yes, don't crucify me. I play still with experience points. It's fine. So I gave them 500 points because I'm old, but I can also play with milestones. I hear you. Don't stop listening to us. I adapt. It's fine. It's fine. Don't be mad. You can
I
do
just
both.
I can't.
You can do both. We just lost
Moving on.
I still appreciate an experience system, and I also appreciate the milestone system.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Joe gifted me like 1,000 experience points if I stop procrastinating and finish my thesis for college.
Yes.
And I did.
You were messy. You
I
almost
was
didn't
so
graduate.
messy. I was no, let's not say that. It's not like I almost didn't graduate.
You were really
I
behind.
I was really behind. I was purposely choosing to leave everything for the very last freaking minute because I am a master procrastinator. Then again, maybe ADHD, maybe autism, who knows? So maybe
Maybe
a little bit of
lazy.
both.
Maybe a little bit of lazy.
No, because believe me, because the anxiety that I was feeling by
I know.
choosing not
That's
to
why I
finish my
gave you the
work,
XP.
it exactly. I needed the motivator, right?
Yes.
So I finished that shit, which I had been putting off for a month and a half in
Yes.
2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks, like a week.
Like 10 days.
10 days. It's a strong motivator. All right. If he wants to give off the bazillion XP points, somebody's going to try and go get that shit. So milestones, I don't know how to play with you, but XP has a smart and important place in my heart.
Do you know what milestones are? Because I know you have it. Milestones is that you don't get XP. You just like at some point after X amount of sessions, it's not determined. The storyteller, dungeon master, whatever you want to call him, is like, okay, you guys leveled up. Look at her face. You can't see her. I'm going to describe her face in case you're just listening. She's in absolute abject horror and shock.
I'm clutching my pearls and I'm fanning myself right now.
You, by the way, lady, will be judged by the younger generation because you do not like milestone. Most of my players weren't much like you, weren't even aware of milestones, and I brought it up to them, much like our episode on botches, critical fails. And all of my players were like, no, I want XP. What do you do? Do not take. And I was like, guys, we should try something different. No. I was like, okay.
Oh, we are those people. Do not step on my lawn kind of people. Please no.
We're just I think it's just used to a system that I have because I'm going to throw myself flowers. I have made it work for us. Regardless, I I don't get players get stuck. If I need to give them a level because they missed a month because they got sick, they get the level. Like, it's not that I'm just like, you only get these points and you get no additional. I give player points for arriving on time. I give player points for snacks. I give play if they bring snacks. I give player
bringing you
points
water.
for bringing me water during game. That's
because he lives a dehydrated life. And how many of those have you had today? I don't know. Exactly. That's one and two. That's two.
I've had three.
Coffee is not water. Coffee is not water.
It hydrates, but water, coffee hydrates. Anyway, it does. Look it up because it surprised me when I found out. Anyway, no, drink water, and sleep 8 hours. So it's treated us well. It works, and it's not that we're closed-minded. Like, it sounds that the group is, but it's not. We would try something different, and I'm sure people will adapt. But if the system works for you, just do it. It's the same thing I say to my table.
Yeah, like if you've been playing with milestones and the idea of playing with XP sounds freaking bogus, and like, why would you put yourself through that? Don't do it. Don't do it. Just know that the system exists. It has worked for people in the past.
Yes,
maybe for years. So like, we're willing to adapt. Be willing to accept the fact that we don't know how to play with milestones.
Correct. I saw a super interesting TikTok that DMs or this one DM, I don't know her name, it's just something I saw. She says after the game, I gave my players a form to fill out of what their next goal is, what this and that. And for me, that's something I get through the way I reward experience. I ask you, I tell you, I'm like, what did you like? What didn't you? And then you give me hints on what to follow up through. And I think that is something that really works. So to wrap it up a little bit, do what makes you happy, especially in regards to races. If you want to play that high fantasy old school thing, go play it, enjoy it. But if someone else wants to play a fat elves who fights with a katana because that's what he found, and he is also short and whatever.
Because maybe there's also elves in feudal, not Japan.
Yes. You don't know that. We don't know that. It's as long as it's just trying different things, not being offensive, let people try to play whatever they want. That's it. Correct. That's why we wanted to do this episode, to make sure people break through of their previous conceptions on races and classes. We didn't even talk about classes. We'll talk about that in another episode. But for our ending segment of Is That a Blank, Cristina, I've sent you a picture. What is in your images? What is that, and what do you think he wants from you?
Oh, well, first of all, when I opened it, I was like, Mr. Sir, that was all required. Oh wait, it's not that, but it looked like it could be. It looked like it could be a dick pic, but it's not.
But it's not. I forgot to describe it for our listeners. It is a monstrosity with a bunch of stitches around its chest, arms, legs, toes, face, deformed face, and ears sloppily hanging off its right side while its mouth is ajar, barely able to close with its multiple chins. Its skull is too big, its eyes are too small, its arms are too big for its torso. What am I?
Mary Shelley calls him the creature. The rest of the world calls him Frankenstein. Wrongfully, but that's what that looks like. It looks like a revived thing. It was a revived thing. You found pieces and you stitch them up together, and you did some stuff to it, and you just on it, and now it follows you and it has a limp. Like
okay, well, this is the correct name for it, is a flesh golem.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It does. kind of, I mean, gives Frankenstein vibes.
It's very
Um,
Frankensteinish.
they have no personality, they have no memory nor history of any of the people who like infuse them together. They're ageless
So sad.
guardians, so they can be put to like guard tombs, treasures, all types of situations. And they're created with a special amulet or another item that the creator can possess, and they will follow their instructions blindly,
Every
like jump
command.
off the hill, every command. So destroy that, destroy the way it gets orders, or just try not to bump into it with its 93 hit points
Ugh,
and multiple attacks. Does it have multiple attacks? It does not, but it has several things it can do at the same time, like absorb
is it
lightning.
fast though?
It is not
I
fast. Actually,
wouldn't
it's
think
pretty
it
slow.
is. Okay. So very Frankenstein of them. Gotcha. If I were to take possession of that amulet thing, can I command it, or is it still just the person who created them?
It doesn't specifically say in my game you would be able to command it.
Okay. All
Because
right.
if you have an amulet, it can't
I
think or act
mean,
for itself, so it's gonna act
that's
through the
right.
language. You just have to be able to speak the language that it knows,
Oh no. Okay.
which will obviously be like demonic 7. But yeah, that's our little beast for the day. I want to thank everyone again for listening to us and our a little antiquated but modern views. We thank you very much. Once again, I'm DM Joe. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Harrell.
I am Cristina. You can find me as Crispa Contreras on Instagram and on Twitch. I am very active on Twitch and we have a good time. Come and check it out.
Thank you very much, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.